Hi and welcome to this small Python tutorial. This is a video I'm doing because someone asked me how to best learn advanced Python coding, and I told him try to read code. And then I thought maybe it would help if I could explain my code to him. So what we're doing in this course, in this tutorial, is that I will show you how to build a program like this step by step. So this is a focus on object-oriented programming in Python, as well as graphical interfaces. You see this interface. This is a small game I'm working on. It's still very much work in progress. What it does is it generates a random map, you see, with different terrain types, with cities with different colors. You can see, right, we can click on the cities and it shows the name as well as the leader and culture of the city. It's a tribute to games like Civilization and Crusader Kings and stuff like that, which I'm very into. And it's still not finished. It's a long way to go. You can see we have different stuff to do. We can go, we can zoom in and out, and we can change map modes to, for example, show different cultures in different colors, or show terrain only, or also just only show political and toggle terrain off to have a better view of the cities. So this is what we're going to do. I will try to structure this in small parts of 10 to 15 minutes videos. And I think we just get going. So we will really, that's the finished file. We will rebuild this step by step. What you should have for this tutorial, you should have Python 3 installed. We will only use libraries which are built in from the standard library, which has the advantage that everyone who downloads our program and tries it out doesn't have to download anything additional. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with our map. So how is a program like this built? Actually, this whole picture of the cities and fields is a so-called canvas object, which is an object you can paint onto. But we will do the interface later. First, we have to get what is running in the background. So we have to imagine we are trying to create a two-dimensional field. So we basically have the x-axis and the y-axis. So from 0, 0, whoops, that's I can't really paint on this laptop, so excuse me. So we have these fields, and we'll try to do this. So what is the best way to implement these fields? We have at first we will create a class for an object, which is basically our main object, which everything else revolves around, which we will call a map, or rather a sim map, standing for simulation map, because map is like a code word for Python, so I don't really like using it as a class name. So what we do is we start here, we define a class, we call the map, we call it class sim map, and we don't inherit from anything, so we actually inherit from object, because we can't not inherit from object. And the first thing we do to build a class is we define an initializing method. Self always has to be here. We will see why the self is important. So you will also get some sort of repetition in this tutorial about object-oriented programming. So we have the self, and we will need some parameters. So what are the two most basic parameters for a map like this? Probably the width and the height of the map. So we write here the width and height. These are the parameters we need to create such a map. And we also save these as attributes because we'll probably need them more often. So we tell self.width is width and self.height is height. So these are now attributes. This is an important word you need to remember. These are attributes of SimMap. If we try to get these attributes, for example, if we are in another class and we're trying to get the width of the map, we can always call them by saying simap.width, and it tells us, and we can recall the width by this way. So this is the first step basically, and now we need to create our roster, this. So how do we implement this best? The best way is just to use two classes put into each other. So basically all our rows are one class. So basically not one class, sorry. In one list, we save a list, we make a list of all the rows, and in the second list, or let me maybe do this like this. So we have one list which contains all the rows, and we have a second list, or rather each row is a list which contains all the columns. And by this, in the end, we get a field like this. So let's do that. So first we will just fill all the fields at the moment with some kind of placeholder, because yeah, I will show you later why. So we will do this by making a placeholder. So I will call this like I did it in my original project, which, by the way, you can find the link to the GitHub with the newest version on you can find the link with the newest version there, and you can clone it and try it out yourself. Write me a comment if you accomplish anything cool with it. So self.fields, and what we're going to do now is we will use list comprehension to create to create all the fields in a column again in the map. Sorry, that was badly explained. So basically, we take as a placeholder at the moment, we take just 0. And we say for f, we take f as field, or even field, because Python likes if we write like what the field is, for fields in row. So this is basically, we create in range row. And again, for that, because we want it two-dimensional, for row in, now we have to take range self dot, yeah, the first parameter is height for each, yeah, like this. So for everyone who doesn't know anymore, range, what it does is basically for I in range 0 to 9, print I. It basically just counts down from 0 to 8 now. Yeah, because the parameter you write here is -1 in the end. So this will actually go from 0 to, for example, 179. If we have 179, in the end it will still make 180 rows, as you will see. And this one is not going to work because row doesn't really have a range at the moment. So we say the second parameter is self.width. So we tell it, create a number of lists, create a list which is as long as the height of our map, and create on each field in this list as an element, we create another list which contains the value 0 as many times as width is. And we can now try this out to just see how this looks. So we create a main method. And we actually need this if name. So we need this code, which is very practical. This basically tells our program, to only do this if it's called directly from the terminal and not if it's imported as a module, which is very, very important, and you'll see later why when we write other classes which interact with our simmap class. And what we do now is we print this fields. So we say for row in self.fields for field in row, and then we tell it print, well, yeah, print field, and we tell it not to make a new line after we print it, and then we print just an empty space, so it will make a new line after each row, and we save it. Now we go into this and we say Python 3 map.python. If you are using Windows, you will not need to write Python 3. Okay, what the heck did I do? Where did I write? Yeah, I'm on the wrong directory. I should probably change over to files and now. And I did something wrong. Yep. Okay, yeah, obviously. We need to initialize our class first, because at the moment, you can imagine classes are just like blueprints. And now we want to create a map, actually. So the first thing we do is we say a new map is a simmap. And we want to have this simmap, for demonstration purposes, to have a width of 30 and a height of 10. That's the parameters here, you can see. The width, the self statement is ignored. Just width and height. And now, not self. We can't call self here because we're not in an object. And now here we call new map.fields. So you see now, that's why we need attributes. This fields now looks into the new map, and this new map has the attributes fields in here. And we call that one. And now we should be able to do this. We save again, and yeah, you can see we have 30 O's next to each other and then 10 rows down. So this is already nice. So, but now the thing is, obviously, we want to fill this in. The fields have much more attributes than just a single number. So what could be some attributes we will need here? Oops, I should toggle terrain. So attributes in this one are, for example, the terrain height, the terrain type. So if this is hills or mountains or just grasslands, we will have an attribute which says if there is a city in this field. We actually have an attribute which tells us on which coordinate the field is located. All this stuff. Yeah, so we could, for example, we could just do a dictionary for each field, or we could do a tuple, or we could do it much more elegantly and write a class for our field. So we write another class for each field. The field class I prepared here. But I think our time is pretty much up because I want to keep these videos rather short because of upload times and everything. So I will make the cut here for the first video. I hope you enjoyed it and you learned something. And I will try to progress a little bit quicker next time. And yeah, write me if you have tips for improvement and anything. See you in the next video.